You know, it's a little strange how this game opens up just nonchalantly. Salutations, my dudes and dudettes. I'm your host, Sanic007, and welcome to Kirby's Dreamland. So happy. Released in 1992. This is the first. This is the first entry in the series of the Kirby franchise, created by the one and only Sakurai. You probably know him more for his Smash Brothers. So let's just jump right into this thing with Green Greens. Love this music, but just to get that out of the way, Kirby's Dreamland's got a really good soundtrack. It's also got a really easy setup. Basically what's going on right now is some jerk, King DDD, is stealing all the food for himself, and this pink puffball, well, you wouldn't know he's pink because of the Game Boy screen. But Kirby's just trying to get all that food back. So simple plot, simple game, simple everything, really. Except the game's looks. I think this game looks absolutely fantastic. At least for the Game Boy, anyways. Animations are pretty top-notch, as well as the backgrounds. They're not colored, obviously, but they still look great. So to run down Kirby's moves, it's actually really simple, at least with this first game. You can jump like you would in a platformer, but Kirby also has the ability to inhale in enemies and shoot them out as projectiles. You can also just straight up devour them, so that's a little weird. It's also kind of morbid when you think about it too. He can also float infinitely, however, it's a little weird with how you have to be able to float. And I actually ran into this problem a number of times. I'm playing this off of the Kirby collection. You can tell from the border. If that's distracting, I apologize. I wish I had a way to make this game widescreen, but you know, it's a Game Boy game, not much I can do about that. But yeah, like I was saying, floating is actually a bit strange because you can jump as you would in a normal platformer, but the jump button and up on the D-pad are actually not the same thing, because apparently you need to rapidly press up on the D-pad in order to float, and Kirby can float for as often as he wants. So I don't know. It's not very. It's very finicky. Here we got Wispy Woods, one of the easiest bosses in platform history. That's another thing with Kirby's Dreamland. If you're just getting into video games, or like you haven't really played a platformer before, Kirby's Dreamland is easily the best game to start with. Most people will start with Mario Brothers, but the control in that game hasn't aged gracefully. This game's control is fine, it's just floating can be a bit awkward. Alongside Kirby's basic moveset, we also got some power-ups thrown throughout the levels. What you saw there was a screen nuke. When you inhale it and spit it out, it immediately kills everything immediately on screen. Don't take it for granted. Or maybe you should take it for granted. I didn't rehearse this, so I'm stuttering a lot again. I apologize. But Kirby sort of has a similar problem with like the Mega Man series, where you go off screen slightly and you respawn enemies. It makes more sense in the later games, but here we got low low low. Or is that la la la? It's low low low. Apparently from its own game, which I didn't know for the longest time, so that's interesting. So when I foreshadowed this game at the end of the Sonic CD playthrough, I jokingly made a comment about Kirby being white. Apparently there was a huge debate between the creator of this game, Masahiro Sakurai, and Miyamoto, the Mario guy, essentially. Apparently there was a whole lot of back and forth. Real quick, this is La 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 Lolo's boss fight. You just want to hail the boxes and shoot the boxes back at them. It's pretty simple stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, there was a lot of debate as to what color Kirby was going to be. They, like Miyamoto wanted it yellow, Sakurai wanted it pink. I'm not sure why Miyamoto wanted it yellow, but the designers themselves didn't care because it was on a Game Boy anyway. So let's just make Kirby white on the game cover. It's like, why are you guys even arguing? You can't tell that he's colored in the Game Boy anyways. I love how I'm like going over these rants because, like, considering how short these levels are, this is a painfully short game. This LP is literally 2 parts. It is literally this part, which is going to wrap up right after we're done on the floating islands, and then we're just gonna have 2 more levels. There are only 5 levels in the game. Green Greens, Lololo Castle, Floating Islands. I think the next one is Bubbly Clouds, and then the last one is Mount DDD. Watch out for those cannons. It's highly advised you stay at the top of the screen to avoid them. They can also change their trajectory. It's kind of a shame I didn't actually memorize the names of the enemies, but unfortunately, in the first Kirby game, they kind of all do the same. They essentially do the same thing. They just attack Kirby. They would have more of a benefit in later games, but for now, they don't do anything. Except for these guys, I guess. They can become invisible, apparently. Which I only figured out during this playthrough. What the heck, game? What killed me? Whatever. Embarrassed to say, I died a couple times in this game. I mean, if you're a reckless player like I was throughout this playthrough, it makes sense you're gonna bite it at some point. Because, yeah, this game is really easy, but you should be cautious anyway, especially concerning the fact that there are certain enemies that can that can give you a hard time. The most noteworthy one are these things called Gordos, which you can't actually inhale. Well, that's one of 2 enemies you can't inhale. They're essentially just black spheres with spikes covered around them. You make contact with them, you're gonna take damage, and as we all know, touch damage is not fun. Here we got another power-up. Kirby can constantly shoot fireballs. Oh yeah, that's another thing. When you inhale, when you're floating in midair, you can actually shoot out a gust of air. You'll immediately stop floating, but you can use it as a makeshift projectile, just like that power-up. However, like I said, power-ups aren't... you don't come by them often, considering this game is painfully short. Got a little pirate ship here. Once again, love the music. I'd like to know how Kirby got himself stuck in that, but whatever. And we should be coming up to the boss real soon, which actually changes the gameplay a little bit. Now we got a 2D shooter. I do not remember the name of this boss, which sucks, because it was actually pretty nostalgic that he popped up in later games. I think he's in Star Allies, but I don't remember. I didn't put a whole lot of time into that game, despite all of its really awesome updates it got. But yeah, you just gotta avoid the projectiles as he shoots them. He can sometimes shoot them in threes, going different ways, up, down, and forward. So dodging that might be a bit tough. He also has this attack where he just charges right at you, and then he just slowly flies back. But anyways, that was part one. Uh, Next time on Kirby's Dreamland, we'll finish the game. I'm telling you, this game is painfully easy and painfully short, might I add. So until then, I get a juice.